Well, hello everyone, welcome to Season 3, Round 18 of my F1 2012 Career Mode. I am Lovesbuds, and today we're in sunny Abu Dhabi, and my objective is to finish first. And yes, I had a good qualifying session, met my objective already, because they only expected me to finish in, or qualify in 15th, because of my poor performance last time out in India. A performance which I cannot remember. I know I started at the back of the did I start at the back of the grid? Oh my god, that's terrible. I swear, yes, I must have started at the back of the grid, because I was absolutely shocking that day. But I did come through. I think I came through and got a point. So, not all was lost, and actually managing to tie with Grosjean at the top of the lead of the championship. So this is my qualifying lap, as most of you will know this. Of course it is. Why did I say that? Oh, I don't know. I am quite tired this morning, so please bear with me. But this isn't turning out to be too bad a lap actually. I went a bit wide on the first corner, but the rest of this, I went a bit wide there as well. But the rest of this lap isn't actually too bad. I've got good speed as well. The car feels pretty comfortable. Still getting used to the sort of understeery setup on this track, but it's a lot better than it was in India last time out. And for once, I'm actually taking that corner very well. The one where you go down hill and you turn right just to go into that hotel complex. Just going around the final few corners now. Timing's looking pretty good. I do like this last little bit of corner. The last corner. It's not a bad one. So that's my time of 1:41.3. That's actually good enough for pole by 1.2 seconds. Let me just say again, 1.2 seconds. And considering I was 3 seconds off the pace in India, what the hell? See, some tracks suit me more than others, it seems. So let's go for it. Let's see what we can do from pole. Rosberg in second there, and Raikkonen in third. I don't know where Grosjean is. He seems to have dropped off a little bit. He's no longer my rival because I have now got a contract offer from Lotus. That's about the only contract offer I have at the moment. I think I've got a contract renewal offer from Ferrari. But usually I make my decisions at the end of the season, unless it's something really attractive. And I tend to make my decision after the end of the last race. I know what team I've picked. I'm not going to give anything away this time. And you'll just have to see when Season 4 starts. In hopefully just a few days time. I'm hoping to do Season 4 quite quickly, so you may end up seeing a couple of daily uploads of that. Because that's going to be my last season as well. I'm not going to have time to do Season 5, unfortunately. Although I will be able to play it, I won't be able to make videos on it because I am actually moving house at the end of July, which will put me in a bit of an odd situation in terms of getting uploads to this channel. So I may end up disappearing for a month or two, who knows, because I don't know what's going to happen with the internet and all such. So, well, whether it's fast enough for a start. So, we'll have to see what happens there. But I will be back eventually. So, don't fret too much. Hopefully I'll be back before, or just before 2013 comes out. But you never know. I'm not going to promise anything at the moment. But anyway, now I'm out in the lead. Things seem to have settled down a bit. I'm going to have to warn you now, this isn't exactly an exciting race, but it puts my championship back on track. So yeah, now that things have settled down, I just want to draw your attention to some sad news from the Canadian Grand Prix. A track marshal lost his life at the end of the Grand Prix while recovering Esteban Gutierrez's car. As I go a bit wide here. Unfortunately, it was a bit of a freak accident. The marshal was assisting in the recovery of the car, walking alongside with the crane, I expect, making sure the car was balanced. And unfortunately, he dropped his radio, and when he went to pick it up, he stumbled and tripped and fell into the path of the moving crane. So, yeah, unfortunately, he succumbed to his injuries and passed away in hospital soon after. So that's some really, really sad news. We haven't had a death in the sport since about 2001 in the Australian Grand Prix. So it's a long time, and I have to say we have to have a huge amount of respect for these guys who do these jobs, put their lives at risk for the love of the sport, and that demands huge respect, because the drivers are so much more protected than these marshals. As Rosberg tries to make a run on me here. And most of these guys are volunteers as well, so they're doing it purely for love of the sport. And my thoughts and condolences go out to his family. And yeah, that's all I have to say with that one at the moment. The identity of the worker has not been revealed as yet. It's just a sad state of affairs, and we can all agree as a community that died doing the job he loved, and it was an unfortunate turn of events, an extremely unlucky turn of events. So rest in peace, fella. So yes, the Canadian Grand Prix in general was actually a pretty good race from the second position downwards, because Vettel just ran away with it, as I expected he would do when I saw him eke out that big lead at the start. Well, not the start, but in the first few phases of the pit stops. When I saw he was getting so much time on Hamilton's Mercedes, I knew it was pretty much over, because let's face it, the Mercedes just isn't on the pace. It just isn't. I knew this would happen though, after Monaco, considering how slow they were in Monaco, just holding everyone up pretty much. You know, as soon as they got onto a track like this one, they were just gonna, you know, always lag behind a bit. But it's nice to see they have improved slightly. But the nature of the Montreal circuit is that it's not very hard on tyres, so Mercedes would have had better tyre wear anyway. It remains to see what's going to happen to them in Silverstone, because they could end up going backwards again like they did in China, was it? Well, they went seriously backwards? I can't remember now. But yeah, we'll see what happens in that one. But it was the first race this year that I feel that they were really going for it. They were actually racing, because you had lots of close calls, lots of overtaking, albeit DRS aided. But it was good fun to watch. They were actually pushing to the limits, because you know they weren't worrying that much about the tyres. They got away with 1 stop, 2 stops. And it was nice to see them actually doing those overtaking moves rather than just sitting in line in a procession going along. No, it is a shame that they weren't mixed up with Vettel and it was a fight for the lead. It was a fight for second place more than anything. But still, it's encouraging to see that sort of thing. And if Pirelli can get the tyres working like that for the rest of the year, that would be pretty good to see, in my opinion. I don't want Red Bull to have too much of an advantage. But as they say, if you get the tyres in the right operating window, the tyre temperatures and the conditions, they can run away with it like that. And, well, talking of tyres, mine just decided to slide across the track. But I'm still in the lead, just defending from Rosberg and Raikkonen. Having a bit of trouble on these tyres actually, I think. It might not be quite as quick. Or I've sort of lost my rhythm a little bit. Either one. But yeah, I mean, you never know. Red Bull could be completely off the pace in Silverstone, and Ferrari might be the ones on top again, who knows. But yeah, some great drives from Verne, who ended up in 6th place. Very good haul of points for him, good drive. And Di Resta as well, managing to do about 57 laps on one set of tyres. That Force India was extremely easy on those tyres, it seems. That was pretty amazing.
The car behind is on standard reds. Car behind is running standard.
So that enabled him to finish in 7th, I believe. Just getting the results up. Yeah, 7th. So he managed to get some decent points after a very disappointing qualifying session. Unfortunately, Valtteri Bottas went backwards after his, quite frankly, brilliant display in qualifying. Finished qualifying 3rd on the grid. But Williams were banking on it to rain, weren't they, really? They had a high downforce setup. They were hoping it was going to rain. There was a 40% chance of rain, which in a Codemasters game means 100% chance of rain. But it never came. So I bet they were very disappointed with that. Missing out on scoring their first points of the season. You know, I hope this season doesn't go the same way as 2011 for them, or at least not worse. And I don't know what I'm doing there. I just completely lost it. I don't know if it's my tyres or not. I can't remember now. I don't actually remember doing that. But I'm definitely coming into the pits because I am losing. I'm losing a hell of a lot of grip going around these corners. I'm sliding sideways. So I'm pretty glad to come in, really. Because it is actually feeling really horrible to drive. But at least it's my scheduled pit stop, and can go on to the primes now and push on for the win, providing I get out, don't get held up, which I don't. 3.1 seconds. This is a respectable pit stop time. Let's see where I come out. Take this corner a lot slower than you think you can, because you will just end up going into the wall there. So nearly crossed that white line. So nearly. And Massa's in the top 10. What the hell is going on here? I expect he'll probably drop back anyway, because it's the pit stop phase after all, and I was the one to go in first. So that is sick. I just need to keep in range of the guys ahead of me to leapfrog back into the lead again. Yeah. What else in the Canadian Grand Prix? I'm going to have to sneeze in a second, so I'm going to mute my microphone. There we go. Sorry about that. But yeah. What else in the Canadian Grand Prix? Oh yes, Guido van der Garde. What a horrible race he had. Ignoring blue flags. And turning into Webber as he tried to get past under blue flags. Receiving a stop-go penalty, which I'm not even sure he managed to take before he ended up losing his front wing, or his front wing coming loose and getting stuck underneath the car. So as a result, he's now got a 5-place grid penalty for Silverstone, which isn't going to make much of a difference anyway, because he's in those teams that are at the back of the grid. And if his qualifying in Montreal was anything to go by, he's going to be at the back of the grid anyway. So it's not really much of a penalty, is it? But oh well, doesn't matter. The pace of Alonso was very good, I have to say. I think if he had qualified a lot better, if he got himself onto the front row or the second row even, I feel he might have even been able to challenge Vettel for the win. But Vettel definitely was in a class of his own, and he has managed to win in Montreal for the first time in his career, and Red Bull first time in their careers as well. So that was pretty good to see. They finally managed tick that one off the list after very nearly winning it in 2011 when Button came through to win after Vettel went wide on one of the corners in the wet. And that was an epic race, I have to say. But yeah, he's finally got it, and well done to him, really. He has controlled that race pretty well. Do feel that the crowd was being a bit out of order when he was on the podium, and the crowd were booing him. I mean, that's really not on. I mean, as much as I don't want him to be winning all the time, I would never go up to him and boo him on the podium. That's just out of order. He deserved to be on that podium. No matter what anyone else says, even if it is the car or whatever he got out in front, he controlled that race. He was just in a class of his own. And to be booed on the podium, that's just not on, I don't think. It's a bit disrespectful. But anyway, people are people. Can't help it. Nothing I can do about it, so I just offer my opinions. Who else had a dismal race? Oh, the two McLaren drivers, yeah. Had a horrible race. Button has never been so glad to get out of a car after a Grand Prix in his life, which just shows you the state of the team at the moment, which is very disappointing. They've even broken their streak of points finishes, which was about 64 or 65 consecutive races in the points. So that must be a real kick in the teeth for them, especially only to be one place off the points as well. It's really sad to see McLaren in that state, and they mostly seem to be concentrating on next year's car anyway. I think they've pretty much given up this season. They're gonna keep on going, but with the pace of the other teams, I'd be surprised if they'd manage to be up there winning a race again this season, as much as I hate to see it. But yeah, but in other good news, although Raikkonen had a bad race, Grosjean didn't have a brilliant race either, even though he came through the field. But Raikkonen sort of went backwards as well. The Lotus was not as good as everyone thought it might be, which is unfortunate. They probably just didn't get their tyres to work because of the nature of the Montreal track surface. So that's really unfortunate. So that means Raikkonen has slipped to third in the Drivers' Championship. Yeah, Raikkonen. But on good news, which I was going to talk about in the first place, he has managed to equal Schumacher's record of 24 consecutive points finishes. He's only got finishing the points one more time to beat that record. So pretty mean feat, you have to say. Very, very consistent man he is. But definitely the most successful comeback of anyone coming back into Formula 1, I expect, as far as I know. To be out of Formula 1 for a couple of years doing rallying, and just step back into a Formula 1 car and do 24 consecutive points finishes, that's not bad at all, is it? Although I've never doubted his talents anyway. But yeah, I don't think there's much else to say. Bianchi had a good race as well, finishing top of the back markers. He's probably one to watch for the future as well, because he's very good. There's Schumacher's having a go here. Looks like I'm under a bit of pressure under these for these last couple of laps. Have got 2 or 3 laps after this, so can't relax just yet. And in that battle, Schumacher managed to fall back to third, and Button got past him, and Button tried to get past me for first. So yeah, I've got a little bit of a battle going on here. It's not quite as dull as I remembered it. I thought I was just flying away with it, but obviously I didn't. It's not bad. Grosjean setting the fastest lap. So looking at that though, I am about 8/10 off the pace at the moment, which is kind of weird. I probably don't think I've hooked up a perfect lap so far. Might as well flick up to Rich. I mean, because why not, I suppose. There's no point in having the extra fuel in the car, is there? You know, even on that lap I lost a second. So I'm not exactly driving brilliantly. Hopefully I'll pick it up before the end of the race and try and challenge for a fastest lap. Hamilton, so it's a 1:44.5 I'm aiming for. They're getting slightly faster. That's why they are all over the back of me at the moment. But at least I have got some fantastic straight line speed, which is really quite helpful in the combination with Kerrs. Yeah, not quite a match DRS though, but they just don't have enough track to get past me in the end. And for once I actually braked in the right place. And they're going to get DRS again. It does make it hard for me to get away, especially when there's 2 DRS zones. But it's not impossible, especially after that chicane, to get a good run out of there and build up a little bit of a gap before they can get across the line again to activate the DRS. Yes, Grosjean on a flyer. He's trying to make up positions. I have no idea where he is on track, because he's no longer a rival and he's no longer a blue dot on the little mini-map. So I expect he's in the points somewhere, but he's definitely not in the top 4. I think Raikkonen's still in 4th place, I'm not sure. No, it's Hamilton, of course it's Hamilton. I actually saw it as well. So you got the 2 McLarens up here, looking for those last podium places, or even the win if I mess it up. But you got Schumacher up here as well, which is fine by me, because Rosberg is more of a threat to me in the championship at the moment, along with Grosjean, and those 2 are a few places back, or further back than they would like to be, especially that I'm going to go on to win the race if I don't go off and crash or something. But it does actually look like I'm building up more of a gap now. I seem to have got my act together. Just in time really, because you know, especially when they're getting faster, they get really competitive. Especially if I'm not going to set a very good fastest lap. But actually, that's why I've made up a bit of time. My last lap was a 1:44.6. That's only a couple of tenths off Grosjean's lap. And I've just thrown it all the way there anyway. Any advantage I got in this lap. But I still might be ahead of the 1 second. Just have to see when we come round to the start finish line. Back end sliding out. A huge drift going around that corner, but managed to hold on to it. Bit of a tap on the barriers, but never mind. Right, so let's make this last lap a decent one, because I have lost about 2 seconds. The button is just outside the second window. So I'm going to need to make up some time in this first sector. Try and get away from him before the long or straight. So it's not all over yet. I can't relax just yet. Oh, he's actually closed the gap to 8 tenths. So we'll just see what happens when we get past that DRS detection line. And yes, he is within a second. So I'm just going to gamble and use all my curs, because I know how bloody fast they're going to come flying at me in a minute. Got to make sure I have a semi-decent run out of here to get away from him. This is pretty much their last chance to overtake. And he is too far off. Way too far off. Just didn't have enough road. So it doesn't look like I'm going to set the fastest lap, but the main thing is the victory, and unfortunately it looks like Massa's dropped back. God knows how far that is. Soon find out. I expect he's out the points again. But here we are, just taking the last few corners now. And I am very happy to be back to winning ways as I move over to the pit wall, where no one is celebrating like they usually do. Because they haven't modelled that sort of thing, obviously. But yes, it feels good to be back on top again, just at the right time of the season as well. 25 points.
The Tifosi are going mad over that win. Well done.
And restored my reputation with the Tifosi. Where? Oh, and domination as well. That means I got the fastest time in practice, qualifying, and in the and I won the race as well. So that's a very good race. And Grosjean is actually down in 22nd. I don't know what happened to him, but he obviously had a crap day. So that's one rival out of the way. 25 points ahead of him. Where's Rosberg? Rosberg finished 6th.
You're doing an excellent job.
Which means Rosberg has moved up to 2nd, and I just am sitting at the top there with 24-point lead with 2 races to go, so it's looking extremely good. When I was looking a couple of races ago at possibly losing the championship, I seem to have picked up my performance at the right time, and USA is a pretty good track for me, so I could very well win the championship next time round. But there we go, there's the rest of the points, and Felipe Massa down there at 1 point again. Damn it, Massa. But there we go. It's quite tight, but I've got pretty much almost a race in hand. And he got Lotus at the top there, followed closely behind by Mercedes, so Mercedes could still take this, and so could McLaren. So the top 3 still to decide the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari are well out of it, they're going to finish 4th this season. And here we are for a lovely celebration sequence. So yeah, join me next time for round 19 in the United States. I'll see you then.